This handout is called the Distributive Property. And what you're going to do first is fold it towards the dotted line, like this. And what it's saying is that if you have parentheses, you're going to multiply it by everything inside the parentheses, whether it's plus sign or minus sign. On the minus sign, remember how I told you that that sign is really like a negative sometimes? So this would be A times a negative C. And a positive times a negative gives me a negative, and that's why we would write it minus AC, because the positive, the minus and the negative signs are interchangeable. You can also have the something being multiplied on the other side of the parentheses, and we would still do the same thing when we would multiply x times y gives me xy, and x times z gives me xz. So why did they change the order? Well, usually what we're trying to do is multiply by a number, and the number goes in front. Once we put the number in front, it's called a coefficient. And I like showing you this notation because it's very common, but I actually like to do it this way. We're going to make a box, and we're going to put the A right here, and then the B, and this is a positive C. A times B gives me AB. A times C gives me a positive AC, and gives us the same answer as AB plus AC, the inside of that rectangle. The other one had a minus, so we're going to do A and make the box. This had B, which means it's positive, and this is minus C. So I have AB multiplied together means AB. A times a negative C will now be a negative AC, giving you the same answer as AB minus AC. Don't forget that minus and negatives are interchangeable. So even if the number was on the other side of the parentheses, and I think they called this one X and Y, and they had a variable right here. Let's take a look at what it was. So they were multiplying Y and Z, where Z was positive, times an X. It would still be very similar when we have Y times X. So we'd call it XY. And Z times X would be XZ. And since they're positive, we put a plus sign right there. And your answer being the same, XY plus XZ. This is called the box method. And the reason that I like the box method is because it's going to help us with factoring. Okay. All right. So when you open it up, I'm going to show you a few examples. We're not going to go over all of these. Hopefully we'll get to review this in class. So let's take a look at this one. We have a negative, and I'm going to put it with the box method, a -5, and then a box. And I usually rewrite what's inside the parentheses on top of the box. Okay, so that means -5 times 5 is a -25. And we're still multiplying by the x, so we write the x. See how we have a negative? We're still going to write a negative because a positive times a negative is equal to a negative. 7 times a -5 is a -35. So now, even though we had a plus inside the parentheses, your answer is -25x minus 35 in the middle. So not always are you going to get a plus sign in the answer just because you had a plus sign inside the parentheses. So we could have a lot of terms. I'm going to go ahead and do this one over here. We have the -3, and we make a rectangle like this. I'm going to separate it into 3 parts because I have 3 parts now: X, Y, and 5. Since they're all positive, we We don't need to write the plus signs, but it just helps you later. So I'm going to go ahead and write plus y plus 5. Negative 3 times x is a negative 3x. Remember, we don't need to write parentheses anymore, and the number goes in front. A negative 3 times a positive y is a negative 3y. A negative 3 times a positive 5 is a negative 15. Making your final answer negative 3x minus 3y minus 15. Okay, so for the word problems, a family of 3, so we know that you're going to have 3 of the things that you're going to get. In this example, it says each buy 2 oranges, and they want to represent oranges with an X, so 2X. And means plus 5 apples, and they want to represent the apples with the Y. All right, when it has a negative sign, we saw what to do. We're just going to multiply it the same. But I want to go ahead and do this one. So I write the rectangle. I'm going to divide it into 3 parts because you have 2x, negative 3y, negative 10. So don't forget that negative signs and minus are interchangeable. And I got a negative 2. Negative 2 times 2 is a negative 4. And then when we write the multiplication of x, we just write it right next to it, x. Negative 3 times a negative 2 is a positive 6. When we multiply by y, we just write it next to it. Negative 2 times negative 10 is a positive 20. That means that your final answer is negative 4x plus a 6y plus 20. So the reason that I like the box method is you got to make sure that you do every term and you have it on there. These will get a little bit complicated later, and that's one way to verify that you have all your answer. I'm going to do this one, but I'm going to do it over here, so I'm going to draw a little arrow. We have 4, and then I draw my box. So I'm going to mark this out just so it doesn't get confusing. And then this has 2 sections, one for the 2x and this one for the negative 6. So 4 times 2x is 8x. 4 times 2 is 8. When you're multiplying by the x, you just rewrite it. 4 times negative 6 is a negative 24. So your final answer is 8x minus 24. So no matter what the sign it is in the middle, your result is going to depend on that multiplication. All right, so let's take a look. At a lemonade stand, 5 cups. So I know we have 5 of those things. They're sold, so this would be a positive number at 1.25. And what would be a good variable at the cost? So I'm going to put sold here, right here. But each of them cost, so that's going to be taken away from how much you make, 0.50. And I'm going to call it C for cost. All right, and our last one, it says, at a party, each person takes 2 slices of pizza. So at a party, each person, so we don't know how many people yet, but we're going to put it in parentheses like this. Each person takes 2 slices of pizza, so 2p. And so plus 3 pieces of candy, let's call it C. And there's 10 people. So even if we put the number over here, our box looks very much the same. So we're going to draw a rectangle. I'm going to put the 2p here and the 3. Because they're both positive, I can put a plus sign right there. This is 10. Actually, because the 3 is positive, that's why we put the plus sign right there. We multiply it. 2p times 10 is 20, because 2 times 10 is 20, then times the p, we just put the p down. 3 times 10 is 30, and that was positive. So your final answer is 20p plus 30. And that's the distributive property.